right, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Brian Hicks. I'm Todd's brother, best man. I want to take this opportunity to thank Sarah and Todd for having me as part of this special day, and my children as well, even though they didn't totally cooperate during the ceremony. I've known Todd obviously for 35 years, his whole life. I'm his older brother. You know, we've always been pretty close. Growing up, we were pretty competitive with each other. We played sports, basketball in the driveway, home run derby, wiffle ball in the front yard, football in the park, etc. We were 2.5 years apart. You know, we were competitive, but not overly competitive. There was areas where I was stronger than him. You know, I had better grades. He was the better athlete. I was good at drawing and liked to read. He was more into forming, you know, friendships in his social circle. And that's kind of how we divided up over the years. But when looking at my parents, it was obvious that I was definitely more like my mom, and he was definitely more like my dad. And that should come as no surprise to anybody who's in this room, my dad and Todd. So, you know, in terms of what I followed in the footsteps of my mom, it was coming up with to-do lists, worrying about the future, just trying to do everything right. And then Todd followed in my dad's footsteps, and so, you know, there was a list of personality traits that he pretty much inherited from my dad. For those of you that didn't know him, here's a quick list of things that basically he just got verbatim from my dad. So, the first of which should come no surprise, especially to that table back in the corner. Todd's been known to dabble in gambling. I'm not sure if anyone's aware of that, but the reason that all started was that my dad used to go to this bar called The Willow. And he was involved in some football picks there. And he said, you know, I need some help coming up with who I should pick this week. Who should I ask? Oh, my 6-year-old son. That would be a great resource. So he just tapped right into that, and Todd's like, boom, 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 boom. First week, wins the whole pool. From then on, Todd was hooked. For 30 years, he's now been hooked on gambling just from that specific day. You know, a couple wins, it's the juice, you know, it's flowing through his veins. He was done. Much to my mom's chagrin. Anyway, the other thing he inherited directly from my dad was diehard fandom for the Cubs, the Bulls, the Bears, any Chicago team. He's there. Illini, Northwestern, Illinois State, Western Illinois, anything Illinois related, he's all about it. Other similarities, they like to nap, and they're generally pretty lazy. I didn't inherit that so much, but Todd's definitely on that train. He learned from the best. Neither of them can fix anything. I'm surprised that Todd's even changed a light bulb. I'm not sure. You have learned. I'm sure you did. In terms of Todd's social butterfly tendencies, he definitely got that from my dad as well. They both knew everybody around town. Todd's got so many friends, I'm sure he has a hard time keeping track of them. He's got high school friends, college friends, city friends, work friends, Wids' friends, friends who own bars. There's like at least 100 of those. And he definitely used that to avoid bankruptcy because he just gets hooked up with guys. Oh, I know this guy who owns this bar. I know this guy who owns this bar. He still has no money, but still, that's part of the way he gets away from it. But the final similarity between them was that growing up, he always knew my dad got married when he was 35. I'm gonna wait till I'm 35. And here we are. He knows how to time things out. So anyway, that brings us to today's main event, the union of Todd and Sarah. As most of you are aware, Todd and Sarah have been together now for 6 years. That was established last night in that wonderful poem. I was actually there during their first date. It was referenced again last night. I used to be in this awesome cover band called Sweet Package. I was the drummer. And the first ever date they had was to one of my shows. So after the show, I went and met Sarah, and she proceeded to impress me, you know, with her sense of humor, her cute personality, and you know, she's overall so easy to talk to. And what was the deciding wow factor for me was, and John mentioned this last night, was that she was basically wingman for Hoffman. He saw this girl he liked up across the bar, and she was basically trying to bump into her to get her to notice John, etc., etc. And here you go. A kid later and a marriage later, etc. She's like the greatest wingman of all time, you know. So I literally came home that night and told my wife, I said, Todd's got this girl that I think he's actually going to stay with. You know, it's 2010. Let's like wait it out till 2016. I think it's going to work out. So anyway, she's a great matchmaker, and she obviously knows how to make a match with Todd. From that day forward, you know, Sarah's been in Todd's life. She's been a part of our family, and as I was writing in the speech, I was thinking to myself, you know, she's stuck it out for 5 years, an incredible amount of patience to stay with him, hoping he would eventually see the light and figure out how not to screw this up. So I decided I'll look up patience in the dictionary and just see, like, is her picture next to that definition? I wasn't sure. So here are a couple definitions. Let's see if any of these are applicable. Quiet, steady perseverance. That seems to make sense. Stability and persistent courage in trying circumstances. We're a little bit closer. Calm, self-possessed, and unrepining bearing of pain, misfortune, annoyance, or delay. I think we have a winner with that one. That's definitely wins and patience on that one. So I'm glad she was patient and that Todd finally did come to his senses and propose. And the extra times made it apparent that the two of them are actually a perfect match for each other. You know, they both are hardworking, they're focused on their careers, they both care deeply about their family and friends, and they both have no idea how to balance a budget or save for the future. So it's going to be great. It's going to be great. You guys got it all worked out, I'm sure. This is, you know, another example of it. So all jokes aside, you know, I'm so happy we're finally here today to celebrate Todd and Sarah getting married. When I first met Sarah at that bar in Chicago, I had a feeling she was going to be the one that Todd ended up with for the rest of his life. And I even told my wife when I got home that night, like I said earlier, you know, she's just really too good for Todd to let her slip away, so I'm glad that he didn't. And Todd and Sarah, you both have a bright future ahead of you, and I can't wait to see how it turns out. And I just want everyone to raise their glass and cheers to Todd and Sarah.